Would you like your CV to get you interviews? You've come to the right place because in today's video, I'm going to share with you how to get your CV noticed so you get called for interviews. Watch this video to the end to learn the 3 things you need to do to get noticed by recruiters and get job interviews. Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Jo Randolph and I help women find and get their dream job. If you want to watch videos like this, come and join me and subscribe. I post new videos every single week that will help you build a career that you love and that supports the life you want. Now, let's talk about your CV. Chances are you've been sending your CV and every time you send it, you really hope you get an interview. But the trouble is you're not getting interviews. If you're wondering what it is that you need to do differently, I'm going to share with you how to start getting interviews. And the first thing I'm going to say is that the number one reason that most people are not getting interviews is because their CV is not getting noticed. I'm going to be really personal and vulnerable with you. So a few years ago when I was looking for a job, this was before I knew all the things that I'm going to share with you today, I would put every effort into my CV and I thought that I was sharing everything that a recruiter needed to know in order to phone me and call me for an interview. But in today's day and world, there's actually quite a bit more that you need to do in order to get noticed. Because on average, companies are receiving at least 100, 200, 300, sometimes even 1,000 applications. And because of that, they are actually spending less time reading CVs. Now, once you understand how to play this CV game, it makes it so much easier for your CV to get to the top of the pile so that recruiters spend the time looking at your application and seeing that they should interview you. How do you do that? First thing that I'd say that you need to do is you need to beat the ATS. This is otherwise known as an applicant tracking system. Now, in order for this video to be short, I can't go into everything into depth. I do have a separate course on how to write a standout CV that gets you job interviews. If you want to do that course, click on the link in the description box below. But for now, I will give you kind of an overview so you know where to start looking. And ATS is an applicant tracking system that many companies around the world use in order to shortlist the best applications they need to look at before they decide on who to interview. It's an amazing creation for a lot of companies because instead of having to manually read 50, 100, 1,000 CVs, they can actually use a software that will only present to them what this piece of software thinks are the top 20 or the top 30% of candidates that have applied for the position. Now, the downside is that you could actually be better than many of the candidates, but if you don't know how to write your CV to show this software that you are the best applicant, it can actually write you off. In fact, 75% of candidates get written off before their CV even gets noticed by a recruiter. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that your CV is actually getting seen by a recruiter, because until you do that, there is almost no chance of you being able to get an interview, no matter how wonderful you are, which I know that you are. I am actually going to create a separate video on how to beat the ATS. For now, what I will share is the key thing that you need to do. First thing you need to do is you need to make sure that your CV includes all the keywords and key phrases that this piece of software is looking for a particular position. For example, imagine if you were using Instagram and you were looking for hashtag fitness goals or hashtag travel or hashtag wanderlust, whatever. You would hope that Instagram would be able to search through all the images that they have and it would present to you all the wanderlust or all the travel or all the fitness goals posts that you're looking for. And in the top 9, you will tend to see the top 9 photos for that hashtag, and you'd be able to use that to try and find some inspiration. Now, you could keep on scrolling, but the idea is that you search for it, it presents the top 9, and you decide to do whatever. Well, imagine that your CV is a similar kind of thing. Instead of it being 9 applicants that are being shown, it might be 30% of applicants that are being shown. Think about the key hashtags, or rather the key phrases and the key words that recruiters are going to be using through the software in order to find the right match for the position. In terms of how to do this, I do have a course called the Standout CV course, which shows you how to write your CV. So you not only beat the ATS, but you convince hiring managers that you're the right fit and that they should invite you for an interview. Talking talking about impressing and convincing hiring managers to call you, the next thing that you need to do is you need to grab their attention. Because of the number of applications recruiters receive, they typically spend 5 to 7 seconds looking at your CV. Oh my gosh, just 5 to 7 seconds. That's hardly anything. That's making a decision literally like that. And people are literally making decisions on your career in 5 to 7 seconds. Now, if you want them to make the right decision for your career, you need to make sure that they stop and look at your CV for more than 5 to 10 seconds. Imagine that you are walking by a newspaper stand, maybe in a supermarket, and you're not actually going to be reading any of the magazines or the newspapers that you'll be walking past. However, when you're walking past a newsstand or a magazine stand, you can't help but notice the headlines. You can't help but notice the photos. And if anyone is of particular interest to you, you might even stop and take a quick look. Now, you might not buy it, but you might stop and take a look. And that's what you want your CV to do. You want your CV to make a recruiter stop and take a look at your CV. The most common mistake I've seen that stops recruiters from reading your CV is they will include information that is simply not relevant. For example, they might have a career statement saying, I am a graduate and I want a job and this is the type of job I'm looking for. But even though you might think that this is relevant, it's actually not relevant to the employer. The only thing that the employer cares about is, what can you do for me? Why should I hire you? So you really want to use any space that you have, particularly in the first page, and I'd say in the first few paragraphs, you really want to make sure that you use that to sell yourself. So instead of talking about how you want this job or you want this experience or saying that you have these skills or you have this education, instead focus on what impact you want to have in the organization. Now, this is when it's really helpful to have an elevator pitch, and an elevator pitch is essentially a couple of sentences where you share who you are, what you do, and the impact that you want to make on companies. Another thing you could do is to have highlights. Think of your highlights as if you were a professional athlete. If you're a professional athlete and you're playing sports, let's say for example football, and you're watching a football game is 90 minutes. Now, not everything they've done in those 90 minutes is amazing, but there will be maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes of a game, 6 minutes of a game that were absolutely exceptional, and these elements of the game will be played in the highlights. So what you want to do is your CV is essentially, I wouldn't say your 90 minutes, but your CV is a summary of the best things that you've done over a period of time. And you want to use your highlights to really bring to the front the best things that you've done in your career so that they can see that. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want them to have to read every single bit of your experience in order to see what you're good at or in order to see what you've achieved. Instead, what you want them to do is you want them to notice within the first 5 to 7 seconds the amazing things you've achieved, in addition to who you are, what you do, and how you can help them. So that is essentially how you get your CV noticed. I really hope you like this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. That's it for me for this week. I would love to know, what have you found the most frustrating thing about your job search? Leave a comment in the box below. I can't wait to read your comments and hear about how your job search is going, how your application sending is going, and fingers crossed, when you follow these tips, you will start to get more interviews as fast as possible. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you again next week. All right, bye. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for new videos, and click the bell button in order to get notified whenever I post new videos. There are so many more videos you can watch right now, so click on the video on the left or the right or the left or the right. I can't wait to see you next week.